Wanted more reassurance that the Democrat isn't going to go along with every aggressively anti-common sense idea that comes out of the woke mind virus, which, yes, is a thing. And if she loses, that will be mainly why. And part of that mind virus is progressive-phobia, Steven Pinker's term for the liberal fear of ever admitting when things are actually good. But undecideds don't get that message because Democrats can't make the words, "things aren't so bad," ever come out of their mouths, lest someone somewhere accuse them of not caring enough about people who are struggling. But even in a good economy, some segment of society will always struggle with money, mostly liberal arts majors.
Bill Maher unloads on Democrats in a fiery live TV rant, calling out their exaggerated doom and gloom messaging. He mocks the claim that America is broken or set back decades by Trump, arguing the left's view of reality is wildly distorted. Maher says he's here to set the record straight, and it gets explosive.
Is in the hands of a small cohort of undecided voters, those curious few bisexuals of the political world. Oh, everybody loves to mock, but I see it as more of a personality thing. I call them the Christmas Eve shoppers of politics. They know the big day is coming, but they just can't get themselves to do anything about it until the last minute. My father was that guy with Christmas. He would do all his Christmas shopping on Christmas Eve night, an hour before the stores closed. He would go to a single department store with no idea what he was going to get. But that's why a department store is great. Oh, look, toys. I got kids. They like toys. Done.
Bill Maher argues outrage culture has turned jokes, nuance, and common sense into crimes. From Matt Damon to comedians and politicians, intent and growth no longer matter. Only punishment does. When perfection is demanded and outrage is rewarded, free speech dies, comedy collapses, and eventually everyone becomes the target.
Gift giver, because he felt you had to be fully in the Christmas spirit to go Christmas shopping, and being in the store at that hour with Santa and the music and the tree and the whole production going on, it served as kind of a muse for picking presents, and I think there are people who feel the same way about the voting booth. So let me have a word with them. Hi, Christmas Eve voter. Look, you obviously don't like Trump, or you'd be in that camp already, but you're still torn. And I'm the guy who keeps saying, I get why. You wanted more reassurance that the Democrat isn't going to go along with every aggressively anti-common sense idea that comes out of the woke mind virus, which, yes, is a thing. And if she loses, that will be mainly why.
Comedy, common sense, and nuance are under attack by an outrage culture that punishes people for jokes, growth, or imperfect wording. Bill Maher argues the woke left confuses noise with morality, ignores intent and context, and alienates normal voters. When outrage replaces reason, everyone becomes a target, and nobody's left laughing.
Part of that mind virus is progressive-phobia, Steven Pinker's term for the liberal fear of ever admitting when things are actually good. As The Economist puts it about America today, an economy with an unemployment rate of 4% and a per-person GDP of $85,000 does not have to be made great again. It is great.
Maher says outrage culture has hijacked comedy, media, and politics, where jokes become crimes, intent doesn't matter, and growth is ignored. Cancel mobs punish imperfection, chase clicks, and demand ideological purity. In the end, common sense loses, everyone becomes a target, and no one's left to laugh.
The economy is the Christmas Eve voters' other big issue, and they think it's terrible, when actually it's bigger and better than ever. Makes Arnold Palmer's look like nothing. When we were coming out of the pandemic, every economist predicted we were headed for a recession and all the horrible things that come with it. But much like Trump's girlfriends,
Maher blasts the left for panic politics and purity tests, arguing they alienate undecided voters by exaggerating crises, rejecting nuance, and punishing common sense. His warning is simple: when outrage replaces reason, progress stalls and voters walk away.
The truth about America today, what Democrats should have been selling, is everything that should be low and down is. Unemployment, low. Black unemployment, low. Poverty rate, low. Gas prices, down. And everything that should be up and high is. Manufacturing, real wages, the stock market, personal spending, personal savings, oil production. The U.S. now produces more energy than it uses, which is saying something since we have Las Vegas. Where I'll be tonight. But it's sold out, so sorry.
Bill Maher says outrage culture has replaced reason. Jokes become crimes. Intent doesn't matter. Growth isn't allowed. And even progress is ignored. By policing speech and demanding perfection, the woke mob alienates normal voters, punishes humans for being human, and turns comedy, politics, and common sense into casualties.
Here on Earth One, it's not actually like that. The vast majority of Americans make it to the Piggly Wiggly and back alive. Yes, everything at the dollar store costs $1.50 now, but Biden didn't invent food costs money. And what caused the inflation was shutting the entire country down and paying everyone $6 trillion to stay home because a bad flu was going around. And Trump and Biden both did that. Everybody took the money, and I don't see anyone in this crowd handing back the checks. But who brought inflation down further and faster than any other country? The United States.
Comedy, politics, and common sense are under siege by outrage culture. Bill Maher calls out the far left for replacing nuance with punishment, turning jokes into crimes and growth into guilt. From Matt Damon to undecided voters, context no longer matters. Only outrage does. Maher's message is simple: America isn't collapsing, people aren't perfect, and progress is real. If everything is treated like a crisis, nothing is. When outrage becomes the goal, it eventually turns on everyone, and then there's no one left to laugh.
The phrase I hear so much that makes me just want to unalive myself is, how's she going to help me? Like the president is your personal genie. It's Kamala, not Kazam. And it's a government, not an insurance company. I don't know if Kamala worked at McDonald's, but she's not Flo from Progressive.
Bill Maher argues outrage culture has replaced reason. Where jokes become crimes, growth is ignored, and context doesn't matter, pushing comedians, voters, and even liberal allies like Matt Damon into the crosshairs. His warning is simple: when perfection is demanded and progress denied, free speech, common sense, and laughter are the real casualties.
You think you're living in the Second Great Depression because you can't buy a full foot of sandwich for $5? Maybe you're not looking at the actual numbers. Maybe your hat's too tight. And undecideds, you should be voting Harris because of the economy. But undecideds don't get that message because Democrats can't make the words "things aren't so bad" ever come out of their mouth.
Bill Maher roasted woke culture, Kamala Harris, celebrity virtue signaling, and networks like TLC and A&E for prioritizing ideology over common sense. Cancel culture punishes old tweets, jokes, and private remarks, while hypocrisy runs rampant. Even Matt Damon and Kevin McCarthy aren't safe. Intent and growth don't matter. Comedy, free speech, and nuance are under attack, while outrage cannibalizes itself. Maher also slammed Democrats' crisis-driven messaging, which alienates undecided voters, ignoring real progress in the economy and society. His message: authenticity, accountability, and practical solutions beat performative wokeness.
A good economy. Some segment of society will always struggle with money, mostly liberal arts majors. And so, dear Christmas Eve voter, I say to you, things aren't that bad, but they might get a hell of a lot worse under the rule of a mad king. Do I love everything about Kamala? No. Who told you get to love everything? Do I wish she came up with a better reason to be president than I'm not Trump? Yeah, it would have been very helpful. But let's not forget, I'm not Trump is still a really great reason.
Bill Maher argues America isn't the disaster the left claims. Undecided voters reject extreme rhetoric, ideological overreach, and crisis-driven messaging. They value common sense, practical solutions, and real progress, like economic recovery, lower poverty, and stable employment. Meanwhile, Democrats' obsession with attacking Trump and pandering to a vocal fringe alienates these voters. Maher's takeaway: fear-driven narratives and rigid ideology don't win elections. Appealing to reason and tangible results does.